Welcome back to Dear Career. I'm Tiana, your host. I'm a career coach and a social worker, and I've worked in human resources and recruitment for over a decade. So I'm hoping to be bringing you some great insights today that will help you to get to where you want to be. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're on the last topic of things to negotiate outside your offer. And I've gone through multiple topics so far. We went through benefits and career development and financial, work-life balance, flexibility, all some things that I think most people are used to seeing when it comes to negotiating outside the offer. But today I wanted to talk about a few other ones that maybe aren't thought about as much. I realize that I've been doing these episodes and I'm not even introducing myself. So I hope I was able to kind of square that away at the beginning of this one a bit more because I get so excited and I get just into it. So I'm not even noticing, okay, you didn't even introduce yourself, Tiana. Who are you? Especially if you're new here and you are curious about negotiating, you're curious about your offer. Nice to meet you. I'm excited that you're here. I hope this specific topic is going to be really helpful because it's a little bit of some new things or different ideas of things to negotiate that I've seen that are also ones that I think will typically get approved for the most part. The first one I have on here is company perks. This can be things like product discounts, cafeteria allowance, or even something like company swag. Those are things that I've seen sometimes happen in an onboarding process, but if it's not something that's super clear or outlined, this could absolutely be something that's negotiated in an offer process. I've seen some of these kinds of areas be negotiated in a product company or more of like an entertainment company. If the company is an in-person company where there is a cafeteria and there's somewhere to have a meal, that's where you will typically see something like a cafeteria type of stipend or allowance, something like that. This is also one that's like a little bit creative. Going to company perks is something that's a little bit more creative as far as things to negotiate. And so it gets you to think outside the box, but really allows you to buy into the company, and the company can also see how interested you are in the company themselves. I've seen things like product discounts depending on what the company is. And sometimes the product discounts are already available to the employee with regular company perks. Um, I think, bigger companies that are maybe either entertainment or electronic companies, they might provide an overall company discount, which is great, but maybe you want something a little bit more specific, like a stipend or a specific amount, instead of like a 10% discount, maybe you're looking for like a 50% discount. I don't know how that would work for you specifically. So you'd have to really be able to work through and decide what it is that you're looking for and then bring that to the company so they can work through the details and logistics of getting that approved if it's something they can do. Again, don't be afraid to ask. I know I keep repeating myself and I sound like a broken record, but it doesn't hurt to ask because you never know what might get approved. Okay, the next one I have on my list for other things to negotiate outside your offer is a start date. This one I actually see quite a bit, especially if someone is leaving a role that had a really high responsibility and there's a lot of work that they have to transition over to their team or their department when they're leaving a company. They might need more time to transition. They might need to offload specific work that could take a month or whatnot. Here in the States, there is a pretty standard expectation of a 2-week notice, but I do know that in other countries, there is a longer period of time when it comes to a notice, sometimes a month, sometimes 3 months. It just depends on where you are. But this one is something that there could be some flexibility around. Now, there might be some limitations to what this could look like, especially if the company already has a pre-established set of dates for onboarding. If their HR teams only hire and onboard people once a month, maybe only every other week, you'd probably have to align with one of those specific start dates. But there are some companies where it's smaller. There's a lot more flexibility to figure out where a start date could be. Sometimes, especially if you're receiving an offer and you're transitioning out of old work and you need a little bit of a buffer or break in between, this would be the time to negotiate that. Maybe you wanted to have a trip in between, so you have some real good rest and relaxation before you get into your next big opportunity. So think about what that could look like. Maybe you need some family time, much needed family time before you start a new chapter. So you want to think about like what's going to work as far as a start date, and then request that. And they likely will figure out how that works for you. Now, if they're saying we need somebody yesterday, that might be a little bit tricky, but I would also be mindful of that pressure they're putting on you. If you're going to have to do a lot of work coming into the next role, you want to make sure you're taking that in with stride. You want to make sure you're managing what those expectations look like. Again, whatever makes sense for you, you're going to want to try to figure out what that date could look like, request that, and see what they come back with. Maybe you can meet either in the middle or potentially the original date that you requested could be honored. Okay, now I have one more on here that I think this one could be in a couple different categories, but for now, I actually put it in this other things to negotiate outside the offer, because it does stretch to a few different categories, and that is going to be equity or stock options. Now, this one may take some research for you. There might be a specific amount of company options that they are establishing for specific people, depending on their role, their level, their experience, things like that. But just like an offer with a base pay, you may want to consider your past experience in presenting what you think equity should be offered to you. You will want to do some research and learn a little bit more about the company when it comes to this. And that means learn about what the valuation of the company is, what's the strike price of the options, learn a little bit more about what that could look like. I would also make sure you're asking lots of questions to understand what the projected growth of the company might be. So you really want to think about when you're asking for equity, this is a good look for you in some capacity, because it does mean that there is some retention from your part, that you're saying to the company, I'm invested long term. I want to see this company grow. So I would like to get some additional options because I want to make change and I want to continue to see the company's growth be successful. So this is a way to paint that picture without straight out saying it, but you're asking for more. I would also be a little bold with this. It may be a smaller company and you don't know what the growth really truly is, especially when you're not sure what the health is of the company and where they are with funding. If they're a startup and what series funding they're in, that could matter as they continue to get more funding. What's the funding trajectory? What are the plans for receiving additional funding? If they're in a series B, are they looking to go into series C? What does that look like? Because every time there is these big changes that happen within the company, it may impact the strike price, it may impact the valuation of the company. And so that stuff is really important to know when you're working on negotiating stock options. But again, this is one that I've seen. And for the most part, companies that I've worked with have been really receptive to a conversation, at least when it comes to negotiating your stock options. Okay, so I know these episodes are a little bit shorter, but that's the way I designed them. I wanted them to be straight to the point, really get through these topics and break them out, because otherwise we'd have one really long episode. But this allows you to really look at each specific topic when it comes to negotiating your offer and things outside the offer that can really hopefully benefit you. But if you haven't thought about these things before, hopefully they help you think outside the box so that you can really think about what might make sense to negotiate in your offer. And I really want to hear about all the salary negotiations you're doing, all the things that you're bringing to your negotiation process. I want to hear about that so we can share and learn from each other in the chats, in the comments, and let me know if you have any questions around this. I will make sure that the SpeakPipe link is available in the show notes. So that way, if you have any questions and you want to bring them to me, feel free and we will answer them in a later Q&A response type of episode. But yeah, I'm excited for you to have this information. I hope it helps, especially in wherever you are in your negotiation process. And if you've never negotiated, now is your time. I am hoping this will help encourage you to negotiate because you have so many tools now in your toolkit of options of things that you can negotiate. Whereas I think the traditional mindset is to just negotiate the pay and ask for more pay when there's so many more things. It's really dependent on you, what's important to you, and I want you to reflect on that, understand what's important to you so you can ask for what you want. Okay, that is all I have for you today. I will be again releasing these in probably like a little bit of a bundle or a couple episodes at a time so they can come out together because they are connected, but I have broken them out. So I hope these are helpful for you. And don't forget to comment, subscribe, share these videos, especially these ones. If you know any other women who want to negotiate and don't know where to start, these are at least some ideas to share and get more women negotiating in their offer process. I want to see that, and I hope that you will be encouraged to do that too. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.